In this video, we're going to do a head-to-head comparison of these 5 different glove brands. First, we're going to look at the quality of the build and evaluate each one for its looks. Second, I'll put each glove on for the very first time, hit some shots, give you my initial feedback on the feel and also how well they grip the handle. Third, I dreamt up a crazy way of testing both dry and wet grip, so I can tell you which glove provides the most grip in both sets of conditions. And then finally, we're going to do a durability study where I'll hit 150 shots with each one of these gloves, and we'll see if any of them are showing signs of wear so you can get the most bang for your buck. So stick around for what is most likely the first and only very comprehensive glove comparison head-to-head battle on YouTube. First up is the Circle 15 glove. I really like this glove from an appearance standpoint. It looks very high-end. It's pretty traditional through the palm, all just basically like a leather. On the top, there is a mesh that goes all around through this area of the glove. And as a result, I think this glove would be really comfortable in hotter climates or in the middle of summer. I think it would allow it to breathe a little better. It's a very classy glove. I love their logoing. It looks great. This is a real contender for the best looking glove out of the group. Next up is the Bionic Stable Grip 2.0. This isn't a glove whose look I would gravitate towards normally, but what's really interesting about this design is it has padding under each of the knuckles. So if you have any pain in your hand, this may be a good option, and I'm really looking forward to hitting some shots with this to see just how that feels. Next up is the Coppertech. It has a silicone palm, so this is very much a hybrid glove, and I've never used one of these hybrid gloves with the different materials. I've always just used a leather glove. I'm really curious to see just what kind of grip this gets. I also like the fact that it has all this mesh to help with heat, and it's a really comfortable glove as soon as you put it on. Next up is the Caddy Claw Pro. Now this glove has mesh from just below the knuckles all the way to the ends of the fingers. It also has a silicone palm, so this is another hybrid glove. The fit is excellent, and again, I'm just really interested to see what this silicone grip is like because I've only ever used leather. And finally, we have the Syron Black Paisley. Now this is a really cool looking glove. I really like the design. This isn't something that I would usually use, but I could certainly appreciate that a lot of people would like something like this. My style is really more old man white New Balance, so this is a little flashy for me, but you know, my wife saw it and said, I'm gonna order a couple of those, so it certainly has a place. It's very much a traditional glove, all leather. It feels very premium in its build, and I'm really interested to see how it stacks up against some of these hybrid offerings. I took a few shots with each glove to evaluate feel. The Circle 15 and the Syron feel like a traditional leather golf glove. However, they both feel like very premium products. The Bionic has a unique feel with the additional padding in the fingers and palm. It's a noticeably comfortable feel on the club and really is in a class all its own. The Claw Pro and Coppertech are similar in feel as they're both hybrid gloves. The feel is very thin, almost like not wearing a glove at all, and is not my preference. The grip, however, is noticeably tackier on the hybrid gloves than the other gloves in this group. Welcome to day 2 of the Ultimate Glove Test. Today I'm going to be testing both dry and wet grip strength. So what I've done is I've set up a cornhole board because, you know, I'm very sophisticated about how I want to do this. I've covered it in parchment paper so that the surface is slick. I've cut out the hole and used a binder clip to attach the glove right here. Then I put a 35-pound weight on top of the palm of the glove. Next, I'm going to use my iPhone that's sitting on the ramp. I'll raise it up until the weight starts to slide. Then I'll record the angle. From that, I'll be able to tell you exactly which glove provides the most grip. Then I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to use a water bottle and spritz the palm of each club and see if any water or moisture affects that ability for the glove to hold. And then I'll share all the results at the end. That was 22 degrees for the first test, and this is on my Kirkland glove because I wanted to see how it stacked up against these more premium offerings. The Circle 15 tested at 22 degrees. The Bionic measured at 19 degrees, so quite a bit of a difference. The Coppertech tested at 25 degrees. The Syron only made it to 18 degrees. Next up is the wet testing. Just gonna spritz it 5 times for each one. Well, I'm a little shocked, but the Kirkland, when I wet the palm, went up to 32 degrees. So it looks like a wet surface, at least in this case, provided more grip. The trend continues with the Circle 15. The wet palm went from 22 to 38 degrees. The Coppertech did not fare as well. It went from 25 for dry to 28 with wet. The Bionic glove went from 19 to 36. The Caddy Claw Pro went from 25 dry to 36 wet. And finally, the Syron Black Paisley went from 18 dry to an astounding 45 degrees wet. Now I'll put a summary on the screen to show you all the dry and wet results so you can see how they all compared. Here we have the results of the dry and wet testing. The top 2 finishers in each category are highlighted in green. Well, the durability study is completed. 750 golf shots in 48 hours. And I gotta tell you, the very first lesson I learned is make sure you have a lot of Band-Aids on hand because my hands look like hamburger after 750 shots in 48 hours. The other thing I'd like to do is just point out a couple products that made this possible. First off, I'm using a Bullseye Golf Sims 3D hitting strip. And I don't have any elbow pain at all. And I am super sensitive to tennis elbows. So the fact that I went from not hitting a lot of golf shots recently to 750 7-irons in a 48-hour period and don't have any tendonitis, man, that's a score for the Bullseye. No pun intended. Secondly, I want to mention the golf ball that I use. So I recently released a short video comparing the cut gray golf ball to the Pro V1. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but I used the same ball that I used in that testing for all of this testing. And after 750 shots, this golf ball is in amazing condition. I really thought the cut golf ball had a weaker cover. I'd heard that online, but this cut gray does not. It really held up. So shout out to Cut Golf for an excellent golf ball, and at less than half the price of a Pro V1. So something to watch, and maybe go check out my short video. So we did have one failure in the group of 5 gloves, and I'll touch on that last. But the first thing I'd like to show you is the Syron. So this was the first glove I tested, and you can see a little bit of creasing here in the bottom of the palm, but nothing bad. This glove has held up really well, and the more I use this glove, the more I like this glove. So this is a very premium glove. It's held up great. It still looks good. So I highly recommend the Syron if you're in the market. Next up is the Coppertech. The Coppertech wore very well. There's no signs of any wear on the palm itself. It looks really good and it held up just fine. However, there's one concern about this hybrid glove, and I think it applies to the other hybrid glove in the group as well. In fact, I think it probably applies to all hybrid gloves, so I want to make sure and mention it. And that is, when I first started hitting my shots with this glove, I had gone from the Circle 15 to this glove was the second glove that I tested. And when I went to this glove, I use an interlock grip, and the silicone, the sticky palm material, was rubbing up against the outside of my right hand ring finger. And within a couple shots, I literally, because of the how tacky the surface is, I literally ripped the skin right off of my ring finger right here. So now I've probably got the equivalent of baker's hands. You know, I don't work with my hands for a living. If you've got big manly hands and you know you're calloused all over, probably not a concern. But for me, I haven't been hitting a lot of golf shots lately. I've been too busy working on videos, etc. And like I said, within just probably 10-15 shots, I had pulled that skin right off from that finger, and it wasn't great. I don't recommend that. Next up is the Caddy Claw Pro. It's held up very well. No concerns about its durability. It performed great. Didn't really have any thoughts about it one way or the other. It just performed well. Now, because it does have that hybrid and silicone material, that very tacky material, again, I think this could potentially cause some rubbing of the skin off your finger like what I experienced as I was hitting my shots. But again, if you've got the manly hands to handle it, hey, knock yourself out. Next up is the Bionic Stable Grip 2.0. It also held up very well. One of the things I find really interesting about doing a glove study like this, I've never really paid that much attention to gloves before doing this, is some of the brands have reinforced, and this glove does it more than any. They reinforce areas of the glove where they typically wear out the first. So not only does this have that padding under the knuckles, but it looks like they build up the palm area where, a lot of gloves will wear out in this part of the glove. And it's actually built up and a little padded as well. So, there's just been a lot of good thought that went into this Bionic glove. And I really applaud them for the ergonomics and the design. Like I said, it doesn't show any signs of wear at all. So it was a very good performer. And finally, I've got the last glove. But before I share with you the condition that this glove ended up in at the end of the durability study, I just want to point out, I really value giving honest feedback in these videos, but I don't get any pleasure out of pointing out deficiencies in products. And that's never been more true than with this Circle 15 glove. I've made several comments before I did the durability study about really liking the appearance of this glove. I like the way it fits, I like the way it feels, but man, did we have a really bad problem. So right at the end of my 150 shot set, the seam blew out the side of the glove. Now, again, I don't pretend to be a golf glove expert, but what this looks like to me is it looks like this seam was too low on the palm, and as a result, there was a lot of stress that was happening on the edge of the palm. And I noticed that a lot of the other gloves seemed to wrap this material a little higher on the hand so that the seam was not in such a vulnerable place. My geeky engineering background, we would call it a stress riser. And I think that's what's happened here is because where they located the seam, I think it created a stress riser that allowed that to pop open. And I think if they just wrapped that a little bit higher on the hand and put that seam up on top of the hand as opposed to right on the edge of the palm, I think it would probably work better. But again, I'm not a glove designer, that's just my own thoughts. Otherwise, the material itself, you can see a little bit of creasing here in the palm, but really it held up nicely. I don't have any problems with the way it felt. It's really just this one particular issue, which is a really big issue. These are premium gloves, you're paying a premium price for it. You would expect it to last, and that's a huge concern. So I'll be following up with Circle 15 to let them know what I found and what my thoughts are, and we'll just see where it goes from there. So we've completed all of our different testing protocols, and now we're at the position where I'd like to tell you what my runner-up and my most favorite glove is out of this comparison. It's pretty ironic because two of the gloves that I thought I wouldn't like ended up being that runner-up and best in class for me personally, and the runner-up goes to the Syron. I really like this glove. It is definitely a premium product. It looks really good. I didn't mention, and I just noticed that there is a little discoloration here on the thumb. You can see how the graphics faded a little there. But that's pretty minor stuff. This glove has held up really well. And don't forget the fact that when I did that wet study, this glove, I don't know what it is about this material, but man, did I hit a high angle when I was trying to get that weight to slide off the palm. This went up to 45 degrees. So again, a very solid product. If you love the flashiness, hey, cool, good on you. I'm not sure. That's probably what put it in my runner-up category, just because I'm not sure that this is my kind of look. But again, I've already touched on that several times. So now let's talk about my overall winner out of this group. All right, guys, now it's time for me to reveal my number one pick out of this grouping. At the beginning of this process, I never would have guessed that this would be the number one glove. I just didn't like the look of it all that well. And you've probably figured it out now that it's the Bionic Stable Grip 2.0. With this padding underneath the knuckles, the reinforcement in the palm. This glove ergonomically is fantastic. It really is. I really enjoyed using it. I never put this much thought into a glove decision before, but this glove is pretty special. As long as you can get past the looks, it's not going to win any beauty contests. If that's important to you, I'd recommend you look at the Syron. It's a really pretty glove and it works very well. But this glove separates itself in terms of the ergonomics and this design. It's a really, really good design. And I'm looking forward to taking this out on the course and giving it more of a long-term test over the course of a couple months. Now you probably are saying a couple months for a glove, I don't really get to golf that much. I know it seems like, hey, it's a YouTuber, man, he must golf all the time. But I do not. You know, I have a job, I've got kids, I got all kinds of responsibilities. So, you know, I do these things for you guys. I do the testing, I get into the details. I try to make this helpful for you all. But my golf game has suffered as a result. So this thing will last for quite a while, hopefully, and we'll see just how it fares over the course of the long term. Well, guys, I hope you found this interesting. If you did, man, it would help me so much if you would just hit that like button. And if you don't like it, hit the unlike button. But leave me a comment as to why you don't like it, because I'd like to try to make my videos better. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Anyway, that's it for the Golf Nerd. Hit 'em long and straight, and I'll see you next time.